Evening all, it's about 6:30 and I'm in bed, which is a record even for me. Not going to sleep quite yet, but probably will get to sleep about 8ish to make sure that when I get up just before 4 tomorrow, it's not too much of a struggle. I mean, I've been getting up at 5:30 anyway, so it should be fine. The other videos I've done have been a bit more kind of fun and edited together. I've sort of run out of time for this one, but I did want to capture a few things that have been happening the last few days, some of the stuff that I've gone through to like prep things ready for the race, and then maybe a few thoughts on what I kind of want to go out there and do as well. So overall it's a bit more of a serious one and a bit more probably skewed towards someone who's actually kind of doing triathlon or thinking about doing Ironman or that sort of thing and wants to see a bit of that. So a bit less of the like fun bells and whistles, so sorry for that. But I'm going to throw together just a few clips, starting from yesterday evening, which was the sort of welcome banquet and speeches and things to sort of kind of the opening ceremony of the Ironman proper. Then kind of going through into a few things I've sort of shot from throughout the day today, and then I'll sort of come back here for a few thoughts on what's going to go down tomorrow. So let's see if that all comes together quickly. And I'm just going to throw them all straight in without any editing too much, so let's see what it looks like.
You got to hide your love away.
Endurance training is now going to go into the second event of the weekend.
And so the blessing that I'm going to do for you is talking about our eyes and the ability for us to see in a new way. You're blessed.
It's 7 a.m. on Friday morning. There's a lot of admin, sort of checking kit in, checking bikes in, generally getting prepared for tomorrow that I thought I'd show you some of. Right, so let's geek out a little bit over the equipment quickly. This is the Boardman that I'll be riding tomorrow. Just talk through the setup quickly. I'm riding about 50-60mm deep wheels, so nothing too crazy, but with the weather out there I wouldn't want to go much deeper. I think it's worth sacrificing a little bit of speed just to have a little bit of control. The cockpit setup I've gone for is relatively aggressive, the stem's quite low but the bar's kind of angled nice and high, so I've got a sort of what's called a bit of a praying mantis position. I just find it more comfortable, and I think it's relatively aerodynamic. Using a profile design front hydration system, I'll just put water in that. I like to keep things separate, so just water to drink, gels to take, and I've actually got these really kind of strange little funky salt tablets dispensers. So if I twist one of these clockwise, all being well, this little salt tablet should pop out, and I'll be sort of taking them to make sure I kind of keep my sodium and other levels up during the bike, because you're going to sweat quite a lot and lose a lot of those things, and that can cause cramps and all other sorts of problems. The other thing I've got to prepare for pre-race day is the transition bags that I'll have for the swim to bike transition T1 and bike to run T2. Unlike a lot of triathlons, Ironman races don't let you kind of keep any stuff by the bikes themselves. You have to put everything in a bag, and you sort of grab a bag from a massive aisle of everyone's bags in number order as you run in, and then you have to keep it clear. So the only bit with the bikes lined up is the bikes themselves. I try and keep it as minimalist as possible. One of the things I found in general is like the more triathlons you do, the more you realise you don't need half the stuff that you pack in. often, and it was the same for me as well, on your first triathlon, you sort of come with a whole big crate full of stuff that you think you might use, and then you realise you never do. So this is transition, people just setting their bikes up. So we dropped our bikes on the stands where they are with the helmets, and the transition bags that I showed earlier are now on hooks, like you can see rows of bags here. So come race day, I'm going to be coming out of the water, just where you can see, up the steps that are just a little bit sort of hidden behind the barriers there. I'm going to run in through the showers that are going to be on to get all the sort of salt and seawater off, grab my bag on the way through to some changing tents. You can see the white tents at the back. Once I've kind of got all my bike kit on, I will run sort of round the back of this pier, all the way back through, grab my bike, and then run it out under here to the mountain line, which I'm guessing is a little bit further on. And with the bike I'll do the reverse. So in here, drop back off and transition, run around the back, get my running shoes on, and out here, and off I hopefully go. So that's the plan. So that video shows throughout the day what I've been doing to sort of get everything set up. I suppose whilst that's all been going on, I've kind of been thinking about what might actually be happening on the day itself, and kind of running through my mind what I'd like to be focusing on or thinking about at different points throughout the day. Joe Friel, who's an author who writes a lot of kind of triathlon coaching books and plans and this sort of thing, has a quote that I think is quite powerful, which is that you really want to think about performance, not effort. Like he says, if you're about to go under the knife, would you rather your surgeon performed well or tried really hard? You go for the performance, and I think that's always what I kind of think about for these big events. It's just a case of execution, kind of knowing what you can do, thinking about how you're going to apply yourself to perform well at all points throughout the course. Hawaii and Kona's a strange one because it's like got a lot of kind of razzmatazz around it. Conditions are very sort of hot and variable. I don't know if you can hear right now, beyond the kind of the crickets and the bugs and these sorts of things that make a cool noise. You can probably also hear the rain that's coming down. That's been going for the last hour or so. So let's see if that kind of keeps up into the morning. It's supposed to be raining overnight, dry in the morning, which should cover the swim and the bike, and then sort of thunderstorms on the run. If that happens, that'll actually be perfect, because the run's when you don't mind it raining and cooling down. If it rains whilst we're out on the bike, it depends how much, that could be a little bit of a hazard, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So, race itself, as I say, I'm quite lucky that, well, I guess we all are, that to come to Kona, you've already done an Ironman quite recently, so I know what I'm capable of, or rather what I'm not capable of. So if I know I'm going kind of too fast, too hard at any point, I'll just know that that's something I can't sustain. Whereas in other races, you've kind of gone off quite hard and it's felt good and you thought, oh, maybe I can sustain this, and then it just turns out you really can't. So at least I kind of know my limits. Swim itself is a long kind of out and back in the sea, which is always a bit of a variable thing, but I actually kind of quite like the up and down and jostling of it. For anyone who is a kind of swimmer, I find like swimming in the sea, especially compared to swimming in the pool, you can't really finesse it as much. You've just got to get your arms in there and keep turning over and keep getting every stroke in. You don't get the same kind of glide that you get in a pool, and you can't really kind of finesse your way through. You just need to sort of keep turning your arms over. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on in the few swims I've done. Not worrying too much about like power and finish and finesse, but really just kind of chunking along and getting into a good kind of solid, quick cadence. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. It's pretty much a straight out and back, which is good because it means all the time whilst I'm going out, I sort of know I've got more than half the race left. So I'm not going to panic if I'm sort of not going off hard enough, or people are going to get away from me, or whatever it is. I've got a lot of time. There aren't that many buoys, but they are kind of quite nice distances apart, usually sort of 150 to 300 meters. Again, it means that if I feel like I'm struggling, I can just sort of give myself sort of a buoy to get to the next one, and just calm it down and not worry that if I'm going too slow I'm going to lose time. I'll just pick it straight back up. So that's what I think I'll be focusing on for the swim. The swim's always a really unknown quantity. Like everywhere else, you've got to sort of stare at your watch and you know exactly kind of your effort and your time. In the swim, you just go and crash around for a while, and then you come out and your watch tells you if you did it in a good time or not. And that's neither a nice surprise or a bit disappointing. So let's see what happens. I hope in open water swims I've been coming in around an hour. With the sea and everything else, if I come out under sort of 103, I'll be pretty happy. Onto the bike. The bit of biking we did, I thought was pretty good. Felt fine. It felt very much like sort of training in Lanzarote, another windy island that I've been to sort of every year for the last 7 years or so. So pretty familiar with that. The bike's just sort of about focus. So make sure that I stick to the power number that I've got, power meter. So just sort of saying. It takes into account sort of ups and downs and says like absolutely how much effort am I putting in at any point, and I know sort of roughly what I should be putting out on average throughout the whole course. So whether it's sort of up, down, left, right, I'll try and hit that number as much as I can for most of it. I'm going to be a little bit sort of more conservative than I was in the last race I did, just because it's going to be a bit hotter, I don't think I'm quite as fit, and I want to save something for the run, which is going to be pretty hard. So hopefully no major dramas on the bike. The main thing with the bikes is saying is like, given that it's kind of quite a fast straight course anyway, it's going to be as much about kind of staying aerodynamic and sort of keeping yourself out of the wind as it is to be like an absolute kind of power fest. So if anything, like holding back a bit to make sure I'm in the right kind of aerodynamic shape is going to be pretty important. And secondly, it's really about just like looking after yourself to go onto the bike. Get onto the run. That's where the race is going to be won or lost. So if I can come off the bike knowing that I've undercooked it a bit just so I'm fresh, and I've been hydrated and get energy gels and everything like that, I'll be happy. The other thing is that it's a mass start, unlike most Ironman races these days, so that means if everyone's swimming about the same time as well, like it's going to be 1,000, 2,000 people piling onto the same bike course within 20 minutes of each other, so it's going to be a massive bunch of people to start with. The two things you can do in that case are either just like power through and try and overtake people and get ahead of the bunch, or sit up a bit, let yourself drop back, don't draft anyone because it's not allowed, and don't worry too much that you're not hitting your numbers because you're having to sort of sit up and drop back and back and back. That's definitely what I should be doing. Like, let's hope not I don't get the red mist descending and I decide to bomb off in the first half of the race. I'll check back after this and see if I filled that or not, but idea is to stay calm at least for the first half, and then if I've got more in the tank, pick it up. Onto the run itself. Again, every Ironman run I've done, I've gone off too hard at the start, usually because you feel great and you start to think, could I actually run this fast the whole way? And then it turns out like 5k later you definitely couldn't. Having run in July, I've also kind of been injured a lot of the time throughout this year, so I haven't trained as much. I know that I'm not going to be able to run as hard as I could. So I kind of got like a conservative target in mind, which I'll start out at. I also know I know how much is too much, so if I'm going off too hard, I'll know earlier to bring it back. And then let's just see what happens with the conditions. If it's really hot, I'll have to dial it back down. I need to make sure I'm hydrated. I've often found actually that like if I'm drinking too much, I've got kind of loads of liquid bouncing around my stomach, so not quite sure how I'm going to handle that one, but hopefully kind of leveling off and on water, and make sure I'm kind of keeping up gels and salt tablets and that sort of thing. And yeah, apart from that, I want to make sure I'm kind of having fun with it, not putting too much pressure on myself. I'm generally perform better when I'm more relaxed anyway, so I want to go into that with mind. I kind of want to just make sure I'm enjoying the experience of it as well. Usually when you're racing, it's really easy to get kind of tunnel vision and just focus on the numbers and what's coming next, and not take in like where I am and what I'm doing. So hopefully as part of the kind of holding back, I can allow myself actually to sort of be in the moment a bit more and be with the people I'm with and in the surroundings I'm in. So let's see if that happens. Alright, that's it. Thanks for bearing with me on this one. just seeing the kind of number tick up on this camera and knowing how much other footage there is, it's going to be a really long video and kind of dull. But hopefully maybe you take something away from it if you're into triathlon, or just enjoyed watching all of these anyway. Thanks for sticking off the ride. I'll let you know tomorrow how it's all gone. See you then.